No, that's
Make it bigger, maybe.
That's it.
That's on the side.
But I tell them,
Oh.
because everybody tries to give you their agenda.
That's not, that's one of the things I want to do. Well, that's, I'm going to keep working at doing this as long as I can during the term. What I have requirements over the years up to I'm 64, I'll be 65 in November. So at some point, I got maybe another 2 years to keep it on. And it's going to mean for the city. It's amazing how this ties me down. Wow. And I don't get you guys are 6 or 8 weeks of vacation. Thanks. Because you'll have 3 or 4 hours. I don't have that luxury. I'm supposed to be at every single meeting. And so I'm just, I'm excited to start figuring things out. That's why I moved out of that big house, gave it back to the bank. So I got my little house now. I couldn't afford it. Plowing snow and going back and forth. My fuel bills are insane. Yeah, but I had always planned to sell around this time. Okay. Right now,
We're all ready to go. We just need to wait until.
There you go. Your hands must be cold or something. For a few minutes while I'm
That's kind of what I'm trying to do. I got some provinces where it's all work for me. So I'm just getting excited about it.
I call tonight's City Council meeting to order. If you'd all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to welcome you all to tonight's council meeting. The first item is the consent agenda, which is a listing of a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. I will ask if a citizen or council member wishes to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda, and at that time, an audience member or council member may request that an item be removed prior to council's vote. The items on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes for June the 12th and special meetings of June the 9th and 18th, 2018. Approval of the expenditure vouchers of June the 26th, 2018. Approval of a renewal arts liquor license for the Cortez Cultural Center. Approval of a renewal 3.2% beer retail liquor license for Handy Mart South. Approval of a renewal tavern liquor license for Angels End Zone. Approval of a renewal medical marijuana center on-site optional premises cultivation for Durango Organics Cortez. Approval of a lease for extra parking with CBERT LLC located at 126 East Main. Is there anybody in the audience or anybody on council that would like to table any of those items?
I have none.
Okay, in that case, may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of $54,342.08.
Second.
Lucero,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Betts,
Aye.
Noyes,
Aye.
Lady,
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. All right, we have no presentations this evening. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that would like to address council? Yes, if you please go to the podium and state your name and address.
Hi there, I'm Laurie Hulk and my husband Rusty Hulk. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. First of all, let me say I really appreciate all the work that the council does and all the other city employees for all the services and quality of life that we experience here in Cortez. In 2013, when Rusty and I moved the Farm Bistro to 34 West Main, the city was in the midst of a really exciting time, fueled largely by the Heart and Soul Project. New businesses were moving into downtown, graffiti and rolling coal were disappearing, the farmers market was thriving, Restaurant Row was born, and the city's planning department was helping to revitalize Cortez by working with people to build something that we could all feel proud of. When a small town lacks big town features, it relies on aesthetics, culture, and character to attract people. An attractive main street, enticing storefronts, and varied retail opportunities bring in revenue for business owners and for the city. The jobs created by locally owned businesses are recognized by the city as a cornerstone of economic stability. By reviving old buildings and caring for the landscape, we create a unique environment that people in our community have identified as valuable. The Cortez Comprehensive Plan does a great job in outlining these values in practical day-to-day goals. Successful ventures in the private sector are partly a result of the city's efforts in revitalization, enabled by a cooperative working relationship with the city. The city's role in facilitating flourishing business environment is critical to growth and prosperity. As a business owner in downtown Cortez for nearly 10 years, I count on people in city government to make good decisions that are respectful of the city's core values. I came across the core values statement when reading through the comprehensive plan, a very thorough document. I'd like to read a few of the values. We strive for open communication with a desire for understanding and consideration. We are responsible for our actions and their consequences, dealing with all issues that arise in an efficient and effective manner. We do our best to prevent problems. We encourage creative solutions to complex problems and to the proactive prevention of impending problems. We are straightforward and trustworthy, treating employees and citizens with the utmost of fairness and equality. In the past couple of years, the city has taken what feels like a less community-minded direction, making decisions that are causing some hardship on small business and a feeling of betrayal of the city's own core values. Here's a few examples. 1, no assistance was offered in the demand that business owners become compliant with the state-mandated backflow preventers, even though the demand was a result of the city having dropped the ball years ago. As a result, businesses are having to fork out between $1,500 and $15,000 each, or have their water shut off. No creative solution was offered, no apparent desire for understanding and consideration, no responsibility for action and consequences. 2, the fact that it has taken a colleague of mine 18 months and counting to obtain a building permit is ludicrous. He is not being treated with, quote, the utmost of fairness and equality. 3, Another colleague, after an arduous and expensive process, said that if he knew that the city was going to be so difficult to work with, he would not have chosen Cortez for his business location. 4, the trees are gone. Our rough around the edges buildings are now naked, having lost their shady comfort and visual appeal. Their removal is contrary to the values discovered in the heart and soul process. The replacement trees are suffering from inadequate planter boxes sitting on sagging asphalt. Mature trees are an irreplaceable asset to provide aesthetic beauty, shade, and make our not-so-awesome buildings look better. The removal of the trees caused more problems than it solved, and still makes me sad every time I drive into town. 5, from a downtown business owner's perspective, summer is the worst time to start a road construction project. We rely on every dollar that rolls through town to make it through the next winter when the tourists are gone. Or maybe this just wasn't really the right time at all, and the money could have been used to pay for maybe backflow preventers that they were supposed to pay for years ago. 6, many business owners feel unfairly burdened and are upset by increasing fees and regulations. It's hard enough to run a profitable business in Cortez, so please, be considerate when asking us to pay more for services, pay for infrastructure improvements, pay higher license fees, pay for revision after revision for new projects, etc. The city's payroll and expenses have increased, and the business owner can't help but feeling like they're on the hook. So what can you do? I respectfully suggest that the City Council revisit the comprehensive plan and take steps to ensure that the core values are being respected by all city employees. I believe that you will find a vision that in some respects differs from the current us versus them mentality. The success of a small town often relies on a handful of caring citizens. The frustration that I feel comes from seeing the good work of so many people being eroded and seeing officials choosing rules over people. It is what will drive away the people who have contributed the most to the revitalization of downtown, putting their heart and soul into enhancing the vitality of our community. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Laurie. We'll follow up on some of these issues and see about getting back with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address council at this time? Okay. In that case, public hearings, resolution number 11, series 2018. Neva.
All right. I'm Neva Connolly with the Associate Planner with the Planning and Building Department. Applicants Lori Knudsen with the Bridge and Mike Eberspacher with RMBA Architects have applied for a site plan review to construct an emergency shelter and temporary housing at 735 North Park Avenue. The site is currently vacant and located within the Montezuma County Planned Unit Development. The proposal is to build a two-story, 11,000 square foot building with a 5,500 square foot footprint. The first floor will contain the emergency shelter functions, including separate men's and women's sleeping areas, restrooms, offices, a kitchen, lounge, day labor, and one handicapped accessible efficiency apartment. The second floor will consist of 9 one-bedroom efficiencies and 2 two-bedroom apartments. The site plan is part of the PUD and does meet the PUD and underlying R2 setback requirements. Planning and zoning discussed the use of the site as a homeless shelter in 2017, and it was agreed by the commission that the use did meet the intent of the PUD as a public facility. The applicant has requested a parking special exception. The shelter has gone through at least one prior site plan review, and the parking requirements were based on the group home category, which is 1 space per 0.6 residents, plus 1 per staff at peak hours. The land use code requires 2 spaces per apartment. Staff has calculated that the bridge facility needs 42 parking spaces to comply with the land use code as required. Due to the transient status of the users of the bridge shelter, Applicants have stated that it is unlikely the users of the shelter will have a car. The applicant has requested the reduction of parking spaces from 41 to 21 spaces, including 2 handicap spaces. Staff does believe the request is reasonable, and P&Z did grant the parking special exception. Staff reviewed the landscaping for the project. The landscaping plan shows just under 21,000 square feet, or over half the site, will be landscaped with new plantings or preserved in place plantings. The areas near the building will be enhanced with perennial shrubs and boulders, and trees and shrubs will be placed throughout the site. Established trees will remain in place and will serve to enhance the buffer between uses. In particular, there's a row of trees between the apartments and the site, and those will be preserved in place. There was some concern about that, and those will remain as they are. The Montezuma County PUD does have design requirements, including the requirement that all structures shall be designed with the elements of the Southwestern architecture style. The applicant has provided in their narrative several examples of the Southwestern style in their design, including the use of stucco, covered terraces, balconies, wall offsets, and parapets. The colors used in the proposed design fits in with the design of the neighboring Osprey Pax and the Montezuma Courts building. And the designers, R&BA Architects, did design the Osprey building. So as you can see on the screen there, the buildings do have some compatibility as neighbors. Per code requirements, this proposal was sent out to various reviewing agencies. Staff has not received comments from the City Engineering Department. However, initial review has indicated there is not likely to be substantial change to the site plan to meet engineering requirements. Should there be major modifications, the site plan will need to be resubmitted for site review. Staff did review the project with the city's comprehensive plan and found it did meet several goals and policies, including developing on city infill properties and to facilitate adequate emergency services within the community. Staff has outlined the alternatives the council can follow for the site plan review application and does recommend alternative 4 with conditions. P&Z did approve the site plan, or did recommend approval of the site plan on their meeting on June 5th. And they did add the condition that engineering review the crosswalk, or review the need for a crosswalk between Park and Empire, or a crosswalk.
All right, council, are there any questions?
Was there any discussion about Park Street and how is parking observed on Park Street, where the shelter will be, basically east of the shelter? Is that no parking all the time? Is that no overnight parking?
On the street?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's overnight parking.
Is there parking at all on the street there?
There's no restrictions on that street.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions? All right, then I will open this up to a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this project? Public hearing is closed. If council has no other questions or comments, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 11, series 2018 with 6 conditions, approving the site development plan for construction of emergency shelter and temporary housing facility at 735 North Park Street in the Montezuma County Public Facility Plan Unit Development Zoning District, submitted by Mike, agent for the property owner of the Bridge Emergency Shelter.
I second that.
Noyes?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Betts? Aye. Levy?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Lucero?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. Well, congratulations. Now you're on to the next step. All right. Resolution number 12, Series 2018. Peyton Heitzman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Can everyone hear me? So we have received
Peyton, can you speak up a little bit? We're we're having a little bit of a hard time hearing.
Okay. So we received a request for a conditional use permit to convert a garage into an accessory dwelling unit. The applicant is Carla Weatherly, who lives at 305 North Washington Street within a residential single-family R1 zoning district, and she's on the southeast side of Arbecum Ave and Washington Street. The total size of the property is 10,650 square feet, and of that, 880 square feet makes up the existing home, and 720 square feet is the garage that's going to be converted. The plans to convert the garage into an ADU include adding a living room, a kitchen, bath, 2 bedrooms, and a utility closet. And the purpose for converting the garage into an ADU is to allow for her son and his daughter to move in and plan for the future as they hope to care for Miss Weatherly. So following, in review of the Land Use Code Section 3.0522D, and in relation to the application, we did find a couple issues. One states that the ADU shall not result in an increase of more than 20% in the existing living area. We consider the current existing living area to be Miss Weatherly's home, which is 880 square feet, and by converting the 720 square foot garage into an ADU, the living area will increase by 82%, which is well over the 20% listed in the land use code. However, staff does not find this to be deviation from the code or to cause adverse impacts in the neighborhood because the structure has already been established within the neighborhood. In 2014, there were 2 similar cases where garages were converted to ADUs, and the increase of existing living area was over the 20% limit, and we've clearly had exceptions made to this rule, so that's worth noting, and also there were no variances pursued in either case. Another issue we noted in the land use code is in section 3.0522H, that the ADU shall have adequate sewer and water services, and these and additional tap fees may be required for the dwellings. So the ADU does not have the needed water and sewer taps, but it was noted in agency review from both Public Works and Sanitation District that the tap fees will apply. So in review from the agencies, some comments worth noting. Our building official stated that if the CUP gets approved, a building permit will also be required, as well as a change in addressing to reflect 2 units on 1 parcel. The Cortez Sanitation District noted that the property owner will need to pay the plant investment fee of $4,770 for an additional sewer tap, in addition to the monthly user fee billed separately from the main house. The GIS coordinator noted that the ADU will need to be assigned a separate address when building permits are issued, and the Public Works noted that a separate water tap needs to be identified and installed. So the options for council is they can choose to approve the application, they can deny the application and state their reasons, they can request more information, or approve with additional conditions. Following the most recent Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended the 4th alternative, that council approve the request with conditions. And these conditions are that the applicant meets utility provider requirements, including the taps mentioned earlier. The permitted use shall be established in compliance with a time limit of 1 year as set forth in the Land Use Code Section 6.10I, Conditional Use Permits. And then the final condition is any exterior lighting shall be contained on the property as per Land Use Code Section 5.07, Performance Standards. And that's all I've got.
All right, council, questions?
I don't have any.
Comments?
We have none.
No. In that case, may I have a motion?
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public hearing.
I would like to open it up to a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against? Yes, please. If you would come up and state your name and address. Yes. And you'll need to go to the mic. That's just so we can hear you and record it.
Hi, my name is Sylvia Shaw. I am a homeowner in the same residence, in the same area as this lady.
You might want to talk a little closer to the mic.
I live at 306 North Washington, which is kind of catty corner to her home. I've been there since 2004, so I am been there and spent our time. Within our neighborhood, we've become very, very close. We're all single residents in that area. And there is already a house that has been deserted that's in the neighborhood right now that I feel may take priority over wanting to increase a house or make a unit, garage into another home. She's stating that her son and her grandchild, they both need a place to stay when a couple of blocks down, he already has a home, but it's up for sale, which I may include that the yard and all is not taken care of. But within our residence in my neighborhood, we do have, like I said, one house that's already been vacated and been basically an empty space and eyesore within our neighborhood. I kind of feel like the neighborhood the street is getting busier now that the fire department has rebuilt up the street. We also have down here at the hospital has been rebuilt with also Osprey. Our street has become basically a busier street, and our neighborhood has become a little bit more busier. When I first moved to that neighborhood, we had problems with somebody breaking into homes, and throughout the years, it's gotten taken care of. But like I said, it's a single resident area. Really, with the activities that have increased, I feel as if bringing in or opening up a unit to make another place so that somebody else would have a house. And in our neighborhood, I feel like it just doesn't need to be done. We don't have the room, and the neighborhood is getting busier and everything, where this lady just came into the neighborhood, and there's a huge fence now around the house and everything, to where it's brought in such change, so dramatically within the neighborhood that my neighbors also, which are people that I've known already and established a relationship within 10 years longer, should have not to worry about, okay, now we're going to be opening this to not just a single residential area. Now it's multiple. And we don't know if there's going to be any control or anything. We have enough homes that are empty within our neighborhood. And we're getting to where we're established, but also now we got the traffic coming through and everything. It seems to be like another problem that we don't need, mainly with not knowing for sure if this is going to turn out to be their residence when they already have a residence, another house that's right around the corner.
So is your concern that they may not actually move into this place?
Yes, ma'am, and I don't know. I just, the change has happened within at least 3 months, so fast. I mean, I've been there 10 years. I need a fence around my yard. It's fallen down. Our whole neighborhood's the same way. We're not rich. We're together, helping each other, trying to get by. And the change is already drastic enough with the fact of the busy streets. We have children in our neighborhood now. We all can't put up a fence to protect our children. You know, I just feel, I guess what I'm trying to say is invaded on.
Let me ask, Neva, if this is approved, then this residence, I'm assuming that because they've requested that this conversion be for the son and grandchild to live, then that's who will be moving into it. They can't make this a rental property for somebody else? Is there a restriction on that?
There's not a restriction on that, and we don't have any way to regulate if that happens.
Okay.
I got a question. Can that be sold off?
The house separately?
Yeah, now can.
No.
Okay.
It could become a rental if the son and the granddaughter don't live in it, though. I mean, you're approving it to be used as a residence.
I'm asking in terms of could it be a rental for somebody not related to the family?
Yes, ma'am. In other words, it's open market if the son and his child don't move in it, as I understand it. We're creating a rental unit, a residential unit to be used by anybody once you approve it.
But it would be classified as a duplex?
It's separate buildings. There's, I forget how much space in between the two of them. It's an accessory dwelling.
May I add too, if I could, our plumbing within our residential area was listed as one of the worst plumbing systems there was. The lines were totally corroded. I mean, really bad. And we were one of the first to get serviced on changing that plumbing system. And I'm not saying that it's totally up to par, but even at that, that's another issue. We just don't need to bring more into what little area we are when it's already expanding without our neighborhood being able to have any control because of the fact that our city is growing some. And Washington Street is one of the widest streets in Cortez, to where the traffic is got to flow from Montezuma to Empire as a cross street.
So there are plumbing issues in the community and there are traffic issues.
Yeah, I mean, when my child was young, we didn't have hardly no kids within our neighborhood. Now, there's a lot of children that are starting to grow within our neighborhood, and people drive like crazy down that street because of the fact that it is open. And I'm just trying to state, we don't need any more kerfuffle than what we already have within our neighborhood. And I mean, this lady has a very nice home, and if I was able to raise my child by myself with my daughter in what home we have, and it's small, I don't know, but it would be a shame to watch our neighborhood be more effective or defective than what it could be. We're already going through enough. So, I mean, and like I said, the plumbing, and that has been worked on. The alley where I live from Washington on down was one of the first ones that they did. And then they crossed over to the west side and worked on that out. And they're still doing it.
So there's been some work done in your
There's
community.
been quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming to share.
I didn't have nothing prepared.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yes. You need to come to the mic, please.
Hi, I'm Carla Weatherly, and I am the lady at 305 North Washington. I appreciate what you have to say. I have not just moved there in the last 3 months. I bought the property in 2011, and my mother became ill, and I had to leave my property. And so I just recently moved back into my property and have started to do the work that I would have done on it had I been able to live there all along. And the improvements that I've made on the place were things just like this lady has indicated. Her fence was falling over, my fence was falling over. I built a fence. You know, the one thing that I love about the Washington Arbicam area is that it is a place that has been consistently improving. There's a house on each corner that has been purchased, renovated, looks fantastic, and as far as I'm concerned, being a homeowner, it's just bonus for me because it makes the community that I live in beautiful, and it also helps with property values. The garage that I am proposing that I turn into another dwelling, before I lived there, the Nicholsons owned it, and it was a rental before I even purchased the property. When I purchased the property, I took out everything and utilized it as a garage. So there is existing water, gas, electricity, everything needed right now for that place to be utilized. I understand that I need to go through, you know, the proper channels as far as taps because there is nothing listed anywhere regarding those improvements. So I appreciate what Ms. Schock has to say, but I'm not just somebody who just moved here. I'm local. I'm from Colorado. That doesn't mean anything. We all came from somewhere. And as far as my son goes and his house around the corner, that's his story. That's not mine, why he has it up for sale. So I don't really feel like I need to go into that. I asked for this because I have my own health issues. And after my father died and my mother got cancer and I left my home, I started thinking about my own future. And to be quite honest, I don't want to live with my son. I don't want my son to live with me. You know, God bless him. I'm just looking to the future. And I don't think what I'm proposing is going to have a huge impact on the area because my property is huge. It's a corner lot. It's 3 lots. And so the garaged area I have had completely fenced off, and it has not only 2 parking spaces, it has 4 parking spaces. You know, the fence I built actually doesn't impact anybody as far as lighting goes, and I think that I would really love for you guys to say yes. And assure everybody in the neighborhood that I will be a good neighbor. I feel like I am a good neighbor. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, in that case, I will close the public hearing. Council, are there any other questions, comments?
Do we have any record of this? I'm sorry, what was the name of the family that lived there before you? The Nicholsons? And just by word of mouth, they said this was a rental, correct?
It was a rental. There was stuff in there, and I moved it in, but I can utilize it. I needed to drop.
Do we have any record of that ever being a rental? Have you come across anything about that?
The previous owner was Jack Nickerson.
Nickerson?
Who was Public Works Manager. And
yeah.
The records are not complete on the updates that he did. He probably did some of the stuff unpermitted.
But in order to bring this, in order to convert this, then they'll have to buy a water tap, and so everything will be up to code when...
Right, correct, yes. Okay. Yeah.
They won't just have to permit a tap, there'll have to be a tap installed. It'll have to be a separate water source.
Right, okay.
Same with this sewer.
Okay. All right, council. If there are no more comments or questions, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 12, series 2018, with 3 conditions. Approving the conditional use permit to convert a 720 square foot garage into dwelling unit located at 305 North Washington Street.
I'll second.
Betts?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. How about we follow up on some of your concerns about the traffic and see what we can do about that? Okay? Okay. Yeah. You bet. Okay. Well, we'll follow up on that, and if you can leave your information, just write your contact information so that we can follow up with you. Okay? Thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Okay. We have no unfinished business. New business, Ordinance 1254, Series 2018. Neva.
Okay, this is the first reading for that ordinance, and I'm just going to go over some background, and you guys can ask me any questions you'd like about the project. But this is to set the hearing date for July 10th. The applicant, Micah Rudowski, manager for Rudowski LLC, has applied to the city to rezone 2310 East Empire from single-family residential to neighborhood business. The property is fully developed and located at the northwest corner of Empire and Highway 145. The applicant is seeking to use the property for golf training, video instruction, coaching, fitness, food and beverage, and retail sales of golf equipment. These uses most closely fall under the Land Use Code as private fitness club or recreation center and would be permitted as a conditional use permit in the neighborhood business zone. Current use of the building includes a fitness gym and a gymnastics center. Excuse me. At one point, as of right now, the use is non-conforming. The Planning and Zoning Commission did discuss the current use of the building in December 2017 and did interpret the use as legally non-conforming. The surrounding uses are single-family residential to the north, east, and west, multifamily to the south, and commercial highway to the southeast. This location was previously denied rezoning requests in 2005 from R1 to commercial. In those cases, the Commission and Council determined the commercial highway to be incompatible with the surrounding residential uses. However, in general, neighborhood business uses have much less impact than the higher intensity uses in the commercial district. The staff report reviews the criteria presented for the Land Use Code rezoning. In general, it does not appear that the site was zoned in error. There has been an increase in development activity over the years along Highway 145, and the comp plan does support flexible zoning and zoning designations that support local businesses. The existing commercial nature of the building makes it unlikely that residential use will ever occur on the lot. However, spot zoning does conflict with the Land Use Code. The project was sent out for agency review, and comments received were included in the staff report. There were no objections to the project. The council has a variety of alternatives for the project, but we're not going to go over that today.
I'm having a real hard time hearing you tonight.
Okay.
I checked with Vicki, and things are turned up as loud as they can be turned up, so I don't know maybe that microphone is a problem.
Yes. So you want to start again?
No, I think I've got the grasp.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wanted to let her know
Okay.
that I am having difficulty.
Okay, I do apologize for that.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Sue, about this particular?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or comments regarding this?
I was going to say, I thought it was already commercial. I mean,
Well, me too.
neighborhood business.
It's been that way for a long time. I think this is one of those things that has just kind of fallen through the cracks over the years, and basically what you're doing with this is you're just going back and changing so that it conforms with what's actually happening with this property as opposed to what we say should be happening with it.
Right, yeah, it's something that's slipped through for the last 20 years.
and numerous changes in use, yeah.
That's a long slip.
Yeah.
That's a big crack.
Take a lot of research.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So are there other questions?
I don't know.
Comments? Okay, then may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve on first reading ordinance number 1254, series 2018, approving the request to rezone lot 9A of the Christian Minor subdivision at 2310 East Empire from single-family residential R1 to neighborhood business NB, as submitted by Mike Radusky, manager for Radusky Unlimited LLC, and set for public hearing on July 10th, 2018.
Second.
Carlson?
Aye.
Lady?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. Well, we look forward to seeing what you're going to do with this now, now that you have the green light.
I still got one more hearing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is true. We do have one more hearing, but usually if you get through the first one, that's the main hurdle, so. Okay, the bid results on the 2018 concrete cost share project, Phil?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. I'm here to present the bid results for our annual concrete cost share program, which provides a cost share for residents and businesses, as well as doing city work for public works, as well as parks. And this year, we're also including a concrete section for the North Gateway. We're going to be completing sidewalk from West Empire south for a portion of that open lot on North Broadway. As you're aware, we do this as an annual basis, and we cost share 50% of the program with local residents for replacement projects only. And then we also replace our own city sidewalks, ADA accessible ramps, and miscellaneous curb and gutter as maintenance requires. This year's project includes installation of 34 ADA ramps, 960 square feet of gutter pan, 305 linear feet of new 24-inch curb and gutter, 330 square feet of new 6-inch commercial driveway approaches, 365 linear feet of 24-inch curb and gutter replacement. Also included in this project are 2,260 square feet of new sidewalk and 4,324 square feet of replacement sidewalk, which incorporates the residential aspect, as I stated. Their attachments to the memo are included, which outline the different projects, how they're being allocated for residents, city projects, parks projects, and also the gateway, as well as a proposal for a school crossing. After reviewing the cost share applications, the city's necessary work, Public Works staff compiled the bid documents and advertised the project with a bid opening date of June 20, 2018. The following bids were received. We received three, one from Daniels Concrete in a corrected amount of $217,671.20. There's an asterisk there. The original submission, as you'll see in the italics below, was $238,743.20. That's why we put things in a bid tabulation, so any erroneous mistakes can be corrected before we get to this process. D&L Construction was the second bidder at $238,042, and Westfield Gravel Constructor at $247,465. I did want to point out that the engineer's estimate on the memo reflects $264,612, but it's actually $229,612, and that is because we pulled the City Hall driveway drop-off project out because it wasn't at the design level to make an accurate bid. We were going to do a lump sum bid, but due to timelines and engineering staff, they just didn't have the time to get the design completed prior to bid opening. We pulled that, so that's why that engineer's estimate is actually $229,612 and not $264. But if you look at your bid tab, the correct number is at the bottom for the engineer's estimate at $229,000. Fiscal impacts. The Street Capital Fund has a $150,000 budget for concrete this year. The Gateway project is funded at $8,500, and cost share participants will be reimbursed the city about $25,000. The school addition that I talked about earlier at work session is the crosswalks improvements at Kemper School on East Montezuma Avenue. This was an unbudgeted project amounting to $58,000 per our engineer's estimate. So without that component in there, our project total is about 178,000. So we have 183,500. So if we didn't, if you didn't want to leave the school project in there, we'd be well under budget. But as I stated earlier, the additional 58,000 is easily covered in the street improvement fund. We'll end the carryover year just under $1.7 million, even if we do fund this. And that's ready to rock and roll, and staff, and I would really like to see that done. We have more work to do at 7th Street at Mesa, so I'd like to get Kemper completed this summer before school opens. The alternatives are: council can approve the bid submitted by D&L Construction in the amount of $238,042. Council can approve the bid with any changes they feel are needed. Council can vote to not approve the bid and state the reasons, or council can table this business item if they deem that further review is necessary. Staff recommends that the bid be awarded to D&L Construction at a bid price of $238,042. If council agrees with staff recommendations, council make a motion to award the bid for the 2018 concrete cost share project to D&L Construction in the amount of $238,042.
Council, questions, comments? Okay, may I have a motion, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. Just state your name and address, please.
Daniel Hope from Daniel's Concrete and Excavation. I just want to thank the council for awarding me many of these jobs over the last 20 years, and I appreciate working for the city of Cortez. I have tried my hardest to put out a first-class job for the city and give them a efficient, quality product, and that's why my bid was lower. So I'm at your mercy here. But I do thank you for all the projects you've awarded me over the last 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. There are no other questions or comments, or no other from the audience? If I may have a motion, please.
I make a motion awarding the 2018 concrete cost share project to D&L Construction at a bid amount of $238,042.
Second.
Levy?
Aye.
Keel?
Nay.
Carlson?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. All right. Ordinance 1255, 2018, the Justice Building. Mike?
The old Justice Building, the first Justice Building, and the current city police department both sit in a strip of land that was jointly owned by the city and the county, who jointly owned, if I remember correctly, the original Justice Center, the one that I hear is going to become a school now. What we had done up to date was transfer the footprints of both buildings to each entity, and then there was a joint ownership and agreement for the rest of the property, like the parking lots, the yards, and that little strip of grass directly north of the police station. Since the county wants to sell the Justice Building, they need a little bit more to it than just the footprint of the building. And there was also a series of agreements that were modified over time about who took care of what and how it was to be used and whatever. So the two managers, the county manager and the city manager, sat down and negotiated out a legal description and a plat map and a subdivision for that particular piece of real estate. And what you would be doing an ordinance to do tonight is authorizing the mayor to sign both of those deeds. And what is happening is the city and the county are deeding one parcel, I think they call it the east lot, to the county. The city and the county are deeding the west parcel to the city. And this should terminate all these various assorted and sundry agreements And it would transfer then the real estate according to the description to each of the entities, and put everything to bed and allow both owners to move forward with what needs to be done. Staff has looked at this from, I believe, everybody, planning and building, police department, I think Phil and everybody have looked at this and said this is going to work. And I think Shane and Melissa Bruner negotiated this out. I believe it's going to be put in front of the county. I don't know how they do something like this, but we need an ordinance because we are deeding real estate, and that's what the law requires.
Mike, effective when?
Once we get them the deed, just like any other transaction, you'll have a public hearing on this. This is first reading and set for public hearing.
Regardless of their process, our end of it is effective immediately as soon as we...
Once the mayor signs the deed, now the county will also have to sign, and I'm not sure, but we're moving forward.
Okay.
They have it under...
Some conversations, though.
Right.
I mean, we're not just putting something down on paper that they haven't.
Yeah, this is where we went, and like I say, the county's got it under contract, so they've got to get things transferred and moving forward as well. So I don't anticipate this taking much beyond the next meeting to be done for as far as the city goes.
Okay.
That being said, if it can, it will, but I can't see anything right now.
Any other questions?
I have none. It's fine.
May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we consider approving after the first reading ordinance number 1255, Series 2018, regarding transfer of the Justice Building Complex real estate and termination of Justice Building Complex property agreement with Montezuma County and set for public hearing on July 10th.
Second.
Keel?
Aye.
Betts?
Sorry, I went slow.
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Sheep?
Aye. All right, the Piper feasibility study recommended next steps, Chris.
Before I turned into Rick Smith, I'd just like to thank council for the last month or so of being interim city manager. It's been enjoyable. Sorry I didn't make the last meeting, but I did get to sit up here at least once. So just make it the last time. So.
You've done a great job, Chris.
Thank you. Several meetings ago, council meetings ago, council had a presentation by Finley and CCG concerning fiber to the home project, and they presented a lot of information about how the feasibility is possibly there, but they needed additional survey work and studies to make sure that the direction that they wanted to head, and to provide enough information to council that additional work needed to be done. We have an estimate for pole engineering costs of around $16,685, and a survey piece for going to the home to find out how many folks might be interested in having fiber to their home at $8,500, for a total of $25,185. And we'd just like council's permission to be able to move forward with that process so that we can provide you with all the information that's necessary that you can make a positive or a studied decision.
Are we, before they send out the study and everything, council's going to approve it first before it goes out for the survey, correct?
Yes. Once they begin to put the questions together, council will have an opportunity to look through everything and see what's there. We certainly don't want a study that goes out that doesn't ask specific questions that are clear and concise. We want to make sure that the survey process is one that makes sense and gives us the amount of assurance that we're wanting. It's just not going out willy-nilly or just to people in the phone book. We need to make sure that it meets guidelines for survey prospects.
Thank you. Thank you.
Will they will they try to give some sort of focus group these questions prior to finalizing them? Will they bounce them off city staff first?
I don't think that they've spelled that out, but I think there is certainly some prospect that we need to look at and bounce some of these questions off different people. Okay. Whether it's just staff or we get some individuals to take a look at it, I think it would be up to us to say, yeah, we agree. Because sometimes you can put a question together and you've had a group of people working on it and you think it's clear and it really isn't. And it's because those people understand what you're trying to say rather than just getting it and going, oh.
Right. I think it'd be interesting to have that bounced off somewhat of a cross-section of our population.
We could certainly talk to them about that.
Okay.
Other questions? Council?
None.
Anybody? Okay. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the engineering and survey quote from Finley Engineering at the price of $25,185 and amend the existing contract.
I second that motion.
Lucero?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Keel?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Noyes?
Aye.
Levy?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. Letters of support for ALT Fuels Colorado Electric Vehicle Direct Current Fast Charging Corridors Grant Program. Phil?
That's easier said than the acronym would be. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, as you stated, the Colorado Energy Office is currently accepting applications for this program, which is to build out 6 corridors in the state with electric fueling, fast charging electric fueling stations. They're building it so they'll come. So these fueling stations will be within proximity to each other, so the 200 to 250 mile range of electronic vehicles can be made. We were approached by 2, but now 3 organizations that are applying for this grant program, Nikola Power, ChargePoint, and 4Core, all asking for our support. Yeah, I don't think it's a conflict to support all of them because it's just in that we're stating to the Colorado Energy Office that we support the program as a whole, promoting green and renewable energy. So I'm here to ask you to authorize the mayor to sign these 3 documents tomorrow. Their grant applications due Friday, so what I'll be doing is scanning those and emailing them directly to them tomorrow and then following up with hard copies.
And just to reiterate to the public that this is a letter of support. This is not.
Right, yes, it's just a letter of support supporting that grant. Yes, sir.
All right, questions, comments?
I have no other.
Motion, please.
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to recommend that the mayor sign the attached letters of support for the All Fuels Colorado Electric Vehicle Direct Current fast charging corridors grant program. Thank you.
Second.
Thank goodness signing is going to be easier than making a motion on it.
They really need an acronym.
Yeah.
There'll be a spelling bee.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
Second.
We forgot.
Noyes?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Betts?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Levy?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. Sam?
Thanks, Ms. Johnson.
The appointment to Planning and Zoning.
Evening, Mayor and Council. You'll notice that I took the difficult one tonight and saved staff from having to do this. I want to thank Peyton for preparing the report on this. What we've got is a letter of interest from Mr. Lance McDaniel to sit on the vacancy for our Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is responsible for making recommendations to City Council regarding matters of zoning, planning, and development. The vacancy is because of the recent resignation of Mr. Danny Giannone, who previously held the chair position on the commission. Mr. McDaniel has expressed an interest in serving in the Planning and Zoning Commission, and if appointed, he will serve a full 3-year term because Mr. Giannoni's term ran out in June, so if we appoint, he's going to be on the council for, or pardon me, the commission for three more years. The Planning and Zoning Commission interviewed Mr. McDaniel during the June 5th P&Z meeting and made unanimous recommendation to appoint him to the commission. And then we went through our normal processes internally, as we do with all applicants for board members and that sort of thing, through background checks. And Mr. McDaniel has made that process. So, if council so chooses, they can make the motion as follows. I move to appoint Lance McDaniel to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Questions, council?
Yeah, was this advertised?
Was it advertised? Yeah, I believe it was.
Was it
I think we
advertised
had
out
it
to
on
the
the
public?
website. I think it's been up there for some time, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's been on the website, and Lance sent us both an email, and then he came out and filled out the appropriate paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I was wondering, because I got asked by some people that they didn't read it, so.
On that, so.
Hey, who will be the new chair?
I'm sorry, what?
Who's the new chair?
Mr. Remy, Robert Remy is the new chair.
Oh, Robert is? I thought it was Rebecca. Levy was the new chair.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
Oh, I thought Rebecca was the new chair.
Did we do that? That's right, we did. Okay, I forgot about it, yes.
Yeah. So, questions, comments?
I have none.
May I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Racism.
I make a motion that we authorize Lance Daniel to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Betts,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Okay, it's nice to get that seat filled, huh? Okay, it is with great pleasure that I put before council approval of the proposed contract with our new city manager, John A. Doherty. Exhibit A is a amended contract that is the result of some give and take between the city and Mr. Doherty as far as the language of the contract is concerned. We were able to come to agreement very quickly as far as the basic tenets of the contract, but it was just a question of tweaking the language so that it was agreeable to both parties. And so at that time, I would like for the council to consider approving the proposed contract for the new city management, subject to any modifications. Are there any questions?
I have none.
In that case, may I please have a motion?
Make a motion that we consider approving the proposed contract for the new city manager, subject to the modifications.
Second.
Carlson,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Betts,
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Yay. John is here tonight with his wife, Ruth Ann. Would you two like to come and introduce yourself?
Speech.
Yeah, speech. Or whatever you're most comfortable doing. Yeah.
He doesn't look like the same man without the suit.
Thank you, Council, Mayor. I'm looking forward to getting started here on July 9th and moving to Cortez and getting that started. Thank you very much. And this is my wife, Rosanna.
Well,
the only time she'll not say something, trust me.
And I'm looking forward to vacating my seat.
Yeah. Well, Chris will be here to help.
Yes.
Any of the council, obviously. I'll do my best. We are very much looking forward to having you come and are looking forward to working with you closely over the next few years to move this community forward. We made some good progress, and we want to continue that. And Ruth Ann, I'm in the process of moving, so I know what you're going through. So if there's anything that I can do to help you as you get ready to settle here, please don't hesitate to call us or any of the staff. We'll do what we can, okay?
Maybe find a rental house for us?
There's an apartment
She's not kidding. We had one lined up to look at tomorrow, and it fell through, so we're back to square one.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, we'll talk after.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, all righty. Thank you so much for making the effort to be here tonight as well.
Thank you.
All right. And I thank those of you that came to be here when our new city manager was awarded the contract. And we'd encourage you to come other meetings too. We have no draft resolutions or ordinances. We have no other items of business. At this time, are there any citizens that would like to address council? We have none rushing to the podium. The city attorney's report, there is none. City manager, any updates?
None.
Okay.
That's some kind of city manager.
Are there any city council committee reports? Anybody been to a meeting?
I went to the Makeda meeting with you. We did a strategy session, strategic planning, and talked about mission statements and all those fun strategic planning things. And then I left early, so it was the last hour of the meeting.
Well, and Makeda's director has resigned.
Oh, great! Well, that's apparently what I missed at the end of the meeting.
Well, she didn't resign at the meeting that came afterwards.
But yeah.
So they are on the hunt for a new executive director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway.
Now the people know.
Yeah. So.
That's it.
Right. Any other meetings? Meeting reports? Okay. At the council workshop meeting tonight, we had a discussion on the Housing Authority letter for the subdivision. They are going to be purchasing 3 acres on the east side of the old high school property, a plot of land to be used for affordable housing. And we've just been in discussions with them about setting up that subdivision and what's required to do that, so that when the time comes we can move forward. If you haven't been by to see, they actually have started demolition, and they've gotten a whole section of classrooms on the east side of that building has been demolished at this point. There was a discussion on the U.S. Department of Transportation Essential Air Service contract with Boutique Air. We now have the option, instead of a 2-year contract, to go with a 4-year contract. The plus of that is that it provides a little bit more stability for some of these essential air service smaller airlines. And so at the workshop session, the council agreed that we should probably go ahead and approach from that particular perspective, keeping in mind that if something happens, that we still have the right to be able to express concern and have some action if, for some reason, Boutique would not live up to their end of the agreement, which, knock on wood, and based on their past performance, I don't think is going to be a problem. We had a discussion on naming the Park de Vida Bike Complex. A suggestion has been made to perhaps name it after a family that's spent a lot of time and has been very dedicated to developing programs out there. Dean Palmquist, who's the head of Parks and Rec, is going to take the council's comments and discussion items and come up with a proposal for us. We reviewed a safety video that Phil Johnson brought that shows how tight that turn is there at the new Maverick. We're having large tractor trailers are actually running over the sidewalk and onto the lawn, knocking down signage and basically having the potential to run over a pedestrian. And so we're looking at widening the highway there to make it a lot safer. There was a discussion on letters of support for the ALT funds, which we voted on this evening. We did a review of the 2018 concrete cost share project, which we also voted on this evening. And then we went into an executive session for determining some positions regarding negotiations. And is there anything else for the good of the city?
Everything's good. I would just like to announce one thing.
Yes.
Comedy Showcase Durango is having their show. That's their last show before the Folklore Comedy Festival. They're raising money for the victims of the fire. The tickets, there's 2 shows. It's July 6th at the Strader Theater. You can get tickets on the Strader website. And the first show's $10, the second show's $15, or both shows are $20. 2 entirely different shows. It is a 21 and up show though.
Oh, okay.
But they're going to be donating a large portion to anybody who is displaced, helping them replace items and things like that. So, just so you're aware.
So it's the 6th, and what time does it start?
The first show's at 7 p.m. and the second show's at 9.
Okay.
And they're, like I said, they're 2 entirely different shows.
Okay, 21 plus.
I'm in the first one.
Good.
I'm a judge of talent. It's a comedy competition. I'm one of the judges.
Oh, you were a judge. Well, we were hoping we'd get to see you perform.
Maybe.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else for the good of the city?
One thing, I would just like to extend another thank you to Mr. Burkett. I know that, you have a lot of opportunity to fish, and
Yes, I've been missing my fishing.
many times you put the city above your passion, and I appreciate that. So thanks for helping us.
Thank you, absolutely.
Here, here. Mike?
I had one thing to say. So I attended the 2018 Colorado Municipal League Conference last week in Vail for 4 days, and Peyton Heitzman attended it with me, and we're going to get together and set up a program, and we'll tell the people in the city of Cortez what we learned up there and what kind of points we can bring back to make our city greater and more effective. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else?